This is what every Sunday morning should look like. Creamy, delicious, and decadent.
So delicious.
To get it just right, you need plenty of this and even more of that. Not to mention a little bit of this too. The French have a name for this kind of beauty, Creme Caramel.
Creme Caramel is not caramel. So a lot of people come in, they see our name and they're like, oh, do you guys sell caramels? I'm like, no, we don't sell caramels.
It's just after 9 a.m. and Christine De La Cruz and her Creme Caramel LA espresso machine have been going strong all morning. She's co-owner of the bright yellow coffee and custard bar in Sherman Oaks.
It's a French body with a Filipino soul.
Up front may look like a typical coffee shop, but look deep inside the glass case and you'll find something special. Christine's custard.
Creme Caramel is the French name for the custard, which is typically known in Spain as flan and Philippines as leche flan.
Call it by any name you choose, but what we know is it's one amazing dessert. We were even invited into the kitchen to see how the magic happens.
Cracking eggs is a lot of what we do for a lot of the day. This is actually the original recipe with a little tweak from my uncle and my aunt. So this is like our family recipe.
Christine is Filipino American. Her heritage and her family influences everything she makes.
It's not traditional Filipino per se, but it does have Filipino ingredients that are familiar, but our take on them is a little different. Condensed milk is what makes Filipino flan and most other flans made in hot areas of the world, different from Creme Caramel or flan from Spain. And part of it is because it's a hot country, fresh milk wasn't always available. Basically the sweetest parts of the milk and added with more sugar.
And for every Filipino tradition, there's a unique one.
And that's something that you said you did differently, right? By adding some of the fresh milk as well. That's
right,
kind
exactly.
of like your mix of the French cuisine
right,
too, right?
Exactly. The one thing that I'm adding, hazard to guess, we're one of the first ones to do it with this way, was the ube flavoring. And ube is a purple yam from the Philippines.
Let's talk a little bit about what ube is and why you decided to use it.
The purple is like very engaging. Ube is also very delicious. If you haven't tried it, it's very earthy. It's definitely a flavor that if you haven't had before, it's hard to describe. In the same way that vanilla is hard to describe. It's kind of like vanilla tastes like vanilla. Well, ube tastes like ube.
And very Filipino. The mix gets strained to make it even creamier. Between the color and the silkiness, I couldn't help but think how beautiful the dessert was going to be.
What do you have on the bottom of these?
When you turn over a flan, it's a brown top with the sugar. This hard base ends up melting in the oven because we do it low and slow, so that you are able to have that effect where you turn it around and then you have that brown top.
The final part of the process is why Christine's Creme Caramel is so good.
So I'm gonna add the water bath, and this allows the custard to be baked evenly. One of the things that people say about flan is like, oh, I don't like the texture, it's like eggy. Ours isn't eggy, it's very smooth and silky.
Anything this delicious is going to take some time. Our desserts will bake for about an hour and a half and then will set overnight in the fridge, but it's worth every minute.
And leche flan, creme caramel, traditionally vanilla, right? And you decided to add different flavors and then add some of those Filipino flavors like the ube, right?
That's exactly right. So we started doing just vanilla, chocolate, and coffee as our first initial set of flavors that we were gonna do. But then we started adding honey Thai tea, the ube, the coconut pandan, Mexican hot chocolate, Lady Grace.
Now, with all the hard work behind us, it was time for my favorite part.
What do you want people to feel and experience when they're eating your food? Obviously, an introduction to Filipino food.
It is different. It definitely is a marriage between the Filipino-American culture that I grew up with. Because we like being a spot where people say, oh, this is where I get my coffee. Oh yeah, I have to get my dessert fix here. It makes us feel good that we're part of the community in that way, because we want to be able to contribute.